So now that we have our text field showing and the animation is great, and of course the functionality still works because we are able to see things when we hit enter, let's go ahead and start showing at least some of this information there as well. For that, I'm going to create another view here, not view model. Let's close that down. Here, I'm going to call mid view, new file. Of course, we could have put everything in one file, but I don't like doing that, and you shouldn't do that because that can be disastrous. All right, so I'm going to call this mid view. Very good. And you notice that from now on, there's going to be a lot of repetition, really, because we need to pass along our observed object, which is our var forecast view model, okay, which is a forecast view model type like that. And then we don't need that, of course. I'm going to put a vstack there and vstack inside as well. All right, to organize things. Let's get rid of all of that. We don't need that. What we're going to add here is a text. And this text here will have some information, but the information that we want here is going to be, I'm going to put inside of a string, do some interpolation here. Of course. So how do we get some information that we want? Well, we're going to get the current city. We already know that our forecast view model has the current city because we created that variable there. So I'm going to say self that forecast view model as such. I'm going to go ahead and get the current city. Okay, let me make this a little bit more beautiful. Let's save this and give it a quick run. In fact, something is not going to work because we need to actually go ahead and add inside of our view. Let's go to content view. I'm going to add it inside of this vstack there, mid view, and it's going to expect the forecast there. So self that forecast view model as well. Save and run. Let's see. I'm going to say Spokane. Just hit enter. You see, it says Spokane there. If I go ahead and say Boston, says Boston. Remember, this Boston is not coming from what we're posting here. It's actually coming from this field there, right? So if I go and say Boston, enter, it's going to go ahead and say Boston. Okay, so it's actually going to fetch the name from the city and get the information. Pretty cool. Let's go back to our view here because we have some work to do. What we really want to do is we want to have something like this, right? So the city name and the country code. To do that, we're going to just add both of them inside of the same text just to simplify our lives. So after there, I'm going to just put a comma. And inside there, I'm going to go ahead and say self again and get forecast view model and get current country as such. All right. At this point here, we should be able to see hopefully what we are looking for, or looking to see, I should say. Hit enter, which is Spokane, US. Say Mumbai, we should see something else, Mumbai, India. Very good, so it's working, right? We're fetching the correct data. Now that we have that, let's go ahead and beautify this a little bit. So I'm gonna say foreground color, make this white, and font, I want this to be title. Font weight, I want this to be light. Okay, very good. And next thing I'm going to add here, I'm going to add another text. So I'm going to add this text there that says Friday, October 18th, 2019, the date per se. So in this case here, I'm going to say self that forecast view model that weather day. Now we haven't created that, so we need to go ahead and create that. So let's go to forecast view model as such. And right about here, I'm going to go ahead and say var weather day. Expecting a string, this closure here, and I'm going to say if let day equals self that weather forecast go to list, right? And I'm going to go to get the first element of that list. I'm going to get DT. What are we doing here? We go to this object there and go to list. We want to get the first element and get DT. First element because we inside of our list, it's an array, so we need to get the first thing there, which is this one. Okay, that's what we're doing here. And in this case here, I'm going to say let formatted day be equal to a helper, which we haven't created yet. I'm going to go and get the time converter, which I'll have to pass the timestamp. It's going to be day, and is day is going to be false. Now we haven't created yet this helper method, and the method inside of that we are going to create right now. All right, so what are we going to do here? Let me go ahead inside of our project. I'm going to go ahead and create a new group, call this helper, And inside of our helper, I'm going to go ahead and create a new file. This file is just going to be a simple Swift file as such. And I'm going to call this helper. And I already have all the contents that we need. So I'm going to just get rid of all of this and paste all of the information there. So we will be back and looking at this file here as we proceed. But I'm going to just give you a little glimpse of what's going on here. So we have this helper struct, which contains a few methods. This time converter here will pass the timestamp and make sure that we want to show the actual day or not. Okay, so it goes ahead and does all this information and returns a nice date like this. That's all we're doing here. There's a few other things that we're going to be using later, but at this point here, we just focus on this time converter here. Very good. Now the helper is showing there. Now we need to finish what we've started. Okay, so we have false there, and then I'm going to return, of course, our formatted day. Else, we're just going to go ahead and return nothing. Okay, save this. We should be cleared out. Now we can use this weather day. Go to our mid view and look. Now this is actually working or showing something at least. So save this and give it a run. All right, just hit enter and we should see Spokane, Friday, October 18th, 2019. And just like that, folks, it is indeed working and life is good.